FoodFoward South Africa says it has taken a huge knock on the ongoing looting and violence that has been taking place since last week. The organization is one of the biggest food banks in South Africa, working to address widespread hunger in poor communities. The stores have been looted with some of their trucks stolen. For more on this, we are joined via Zoom by the Managing Director of FoodFoward South Africa, Andy du Plessis. Andy, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Hi, Simbiwe. Thank you very much for having us on your show.
Now, the past few days have no doubt been chaotic. Now, take us through how much this looting has affected your organization.
It's been a very difficult time for us as a service organization trying to reach food insecure people in vulnerable communities across South Africa. So on Monday evening, our Durban branch at 10 o'clock at night was looted and vandalized. Our 8-ton refrigerator truck was stolen. And the food was just stolen that was in our warehouse, and we had to close down our operations in KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu-Natal services the entire region of KwaZulu-Natal, including distant rural areas, along with Pietermaritzburg, and we also service our Free State branch out of there at the moment. So it's a bit difficult for us there, and as a consequence, because we're trying to limit the destruction of assets and to protect our staff, we've closed our branch operations in Johannesburg and the rest of the country as well. So we are not distributing food to vulnerable people at this time, which means there are people that are food insecure, and we are concerned about that.
How many people would you say the organization caters for in a week?
So on a monthly basis, we provide food to 1,250 registered beneficiary organizations that in turn support roughly 700,000 people on a daily basis. So we are able to provide roughly 4.5 million meals through our network on a monthly basis. So on a weekly basis, take 25% of that, and you're looking at about 300 organizations that will not be getting food across the country. So call it 250,000 people that will remain vulnerable at this time. And we're talking about orphans and vulnerable children. We're talking about aged care facilities. We're talking about shelters for abused women. We're talking about children in early childhood development centers, people that need the medication to be able to that need food to be able to take their HIV medication, etc. So it's a dire situation right now.
And in the midst of the looting, Mr. du Plessis, a multiplicity of views came up, including hunger and unemployment as some of the factors, leading to people looting. This surely cannot and should not be a justification for looting, isn't it? What are your sentiments on this?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Our constitution ensures that people have the right to protest, but they must do so without infringing on the rights of others, and that's what's happened here. And this is not political unrest. This is a situation where there's criminality, vandalism, and lawlessness, and people are just seeing opportunistic theft taking place at this time. I think, having said that, we need to understand that poverty and food insecurity across South Africa is at a dire situation right now. From our estimates, there are about 30 million people, roughly half of our population, that are either food insecure or at risk of food insecurity. So the people we are seeing on your footage that are looting are mostly young people that are at home because there are no jobs, there are no opportunities for jobs, and many of them have been at home for years, even decades. So we need to understand that there are structural causes of inequality and poverty that fuels this food insecurity, and that translates into the kind of situations that we are seeing happening in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng at the moment. And those structural issues need to be addressed. Our people are frustrated. They are living with anxiety. The mental wellness of people are not in a great state because they can't provide for their families. So we do understand that, but certainly it's no justification for the lawlessness and the degradation of businesses that's taking place sporadically across some of our regions.
You're quite right there. It's absolutely no justification at all. And what's even more concerning, Mr. du Plessis, is that in as much as they may have looted whatever they looted now, but in a few days it will be finished. What about the jobs that are lost?
And that's the concern that we have. Although these are people that may be poor and vulnerable at this time, what they are causing is for other people to be disadvantaged further, because thousands of people are going to be losing their jobs, some temporarily, but some businesses won't be able to recover from this looting, while other businesses are going to have to rebuild. We've seen hypermarkets burned down. We've seen small businesses being damaged. It's going to take months and years for us to recover from this economically, and that means lost jobs immediately. So people will have lost their incomes overnight, and they won't be able to return to jobs in the near future. And that is a concern for us, because rebuilding our economy is a process, and this kind of criminality hampers that process, and it just sets us back significantly.
And we'll be lucky if the investors decide to rebuild what is left of this carnage. Some investors won't even consider staying in South Africa. They'll go back and invest elsewhere because they see the vulnerability that the South Africa security is, is going through. The fact that the armed forces, the security forces can't do much to quell the situation. And this will lead to an escalation in the food prices, because as a result of the food scarcity, food prices will shoot up.
Without a doubt. And we are finding now that we will see that retailers are going to find it difficult to be able to put food on the shelves, not because there's no food, but making sure that the logistics infrastructure remains safe, and making sure that we are able to get food from farm to fork onto people's tables is a difficult thing right now. And so we need to, it's a trying time for us as a country. I think since 1994, this is our most testing time, and we need to make sure that government and government structures does what they need to be able to secure the situation, and to reassure current investors and potential investors that we have things under control, that we will swiftly act with criminality and looters, so that we can focus on rebuilding our economy and making sure that people have jobs, so that we can make sure that people are more food insecure and grow this beautiful country of ours.
All right, Mr. Andy du Plessis, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.